Um, when James was in second grade, he had been in speech therapy since the age of 3, because we knew that he had probably at least some articulation disorders. And I'd been bringing him to the speech therapist at our local health clinic. And I kept saying, I think something else is wrong. And they would typically say, say cat, say dog, say truck. And so he would get through that and he would be fine. And they said, well, he's doing great. He can say his THs and his S's. And by the time he got to second grade, I was pulling my hair out because I said, make him say a sentence. It was the speech therapist that came from the health clinic that actually moved into his school, his public school. And I actually had to request that the school give him another evaluation, because the therapist that had been there before was just, it was deaf ears. She was not even listening to me. And that therapist was the same one who had worked with him before. And she said, I will do a very thorough evaluation and so she had me fill out some paperwork and evaluate him. It was kind of an odd evaluation. I don't remember, but I was just kind of answering a lot of questions, and she had him sit one-on-one. She listened to him in groups with other kids, how he conversed with other kids and how he actually talked with other kids. And I also noticed that at home, he would say, huh, a lot, huh, huh, huh. And so she came out with the whole diagnosis, he clutters. I'm going, what? Clutters? His room is clean. She goes, no, not cluttery room. He clutters. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of it, way back when he was in second grade. And then, to be honest, that whole cluttering speech evolved into another diagnosis that he has, which is auditory processing disorder. So, but that was the very first time. So in second grade, that would have been back in 2007 or 8, something like that. Never ever heard it before. And first time I'd ever been exposed to the whole concept. I was translating everything he said to people. And I was translating even to my husband, because he would talk so fast and he would leave off endings of words. Do you remember any of this? And I got to the point where I was pretty good at translating him. But then trying to find a speech therapist who knew about it that long ago was very difficult, because they wanted to compare it to stuttering and say, oh, no, it's just stuttering.
Yeah, lots of comparisons to stuttering.
And we went through a lot of therapists. Yeah, we finally got him into our local hospital here, Children's Mercy Hospital, had a therapist who did know what cluttering was, but you were only allowed to work with them for 1 year. Then you got kicked out. That's just all that you were allowed to do, because they had a huge waiting list. So he got to work with her for a year, and I feel like that was beneficial. And then we had to find another therapist. So he's been through, oh, wow.
Therapist and speech therapist to
probably
7th grade?
No, you were up into high school. You were about 15 years old. He worked with therapists. So I think he's probably been through at least 6 therapists. Well, because you worked with them. What kind of responses did you get when you worked with them and they didn't really?
Probably just confusion.
I think they just really wanted to just say it was just stuttering. And I'm going, it's not the same. He's not getting stuck on a word. His brain is going too fast. I could tell his brain was going too fast. I could totally tell, because he would try to say something and then he would try to shoot it out really quick. And I'm going, his brain is ahead of his words. And these people who were trying to say it was the same as stuttering, I'm going, it's not. Stutterers just do a totally different thing. They get stuck on a word and can't get the word out. He can't get a sentence out. And there's sometimes I feel like that, to be honest with you, that when I'm under stress, I sometimes think I do the same thing, because I have been under extreme stress in my life where I have gone through like a checkout line and I have said the weirdest things. And I'm going, wow, I think I know what you're doing, because that didn't make sense. And that was all jumbled up. And that's not what I intended to say.
Probably the majority of the time I'm excited. So if I'm very excited about a subject, I'll just start talking and then just talk really fast and can't slow myself down. And but what's going on in my brain, I guess, and it feels like I feel like I know the words, but I'm just so excited. I speed it up. It usually shows when I'm like meeting someone new or like typing into someone that I don't really know. So thus I don't know them, and I'm trying to figure out like how to write it, like what to say to them, or like what to text or email.
And especially when you're on the phone, you don't like to talk on the phone, do you?
Yeah, I don't like to talk on the phone.
I know that he wants to sound okay, and he wants to sound like he knows what he's supposed to say, but I know that's really uncomfortable for him to talk on the phone. Well, and I think grammatically, like, he can write a paper grammatically usually correct, but he'll still say things grammatically incorrect, which is really bizarre. I'm like going, what did you just say? I'm going, how did you do that? But then yet, if he's writing a paper for school or for college, he knows how to write it grammatically correct and get a really good grade on it. But then when he's talking, he'll forget those skills.
Basically, when words get like mixed up and like everything becomes like jumbled, basically, like all the words just get like, I'm just give an analogy, put in a fishbowl and someone shakes it up. When someone usually knows I've cluttering, like they can tell me to slow down, and other people don't really know it, just don't really know, and just
how like at college this year, how have they, because they're new people in your life, how have they responded? Do they try to continue to listen to you, or do they just ignore you? What have you noticed?
I think they continue to listen to me. Like I'm now pretty like well aware of my speech now, and I try to regulate it. But I still get excited here and there. And I realized I was like, he probably didn't understand what I was saying.
What do I say?
Slow down.
No, I say something else.
What do you say?
I said, James, I have no idea what you said. I usually just say, I have no idea what you said. Could you tell me again? Because I try not to say slow down all the time, because I feel like that maybe frustrates him. And so I'll just say, I just really have no idea what you just said. And then maybe he'll try to do it again in another format. He'll try to maybe rephrase it if he thinks he can't get it out that way. Because I don't want him to think that he has to slow down the same sentence. So I'm thinking maybe if he just tries to rephrase it or reword it, it might have better luck.
Usually I feel like this happened when I was like, also younger, like, because I was like, combined with my youth, and I just feel like people around me, like when I cluttered and didn't understand anything, like either they just probably just ignore me, or just like, I don't know, probably looked at me a little bit strange. But I feel like now I have like I'm a little bit more self-aware, and like usually I would probably give us like look at my face like, oh, like I don't know, sorry, like this went too fast face, basically. I'm not sure if it made me angry at all.
Did teachers always tell you to slow down?
Some of them.
Okay, how did that make you feel?
A little bit relieved, because at least people are noticing now it's going fast.
Okay.
And also, I think there was either early middle school, like I think someone came up to me and asked if I had an accent.
Oh, that's true.
Like people always think I have an accent. I don't have an accent.
Right. You're not bilingual.
Yeah, I'm not.
Would have been the therapist at Children's Mercy, and then after that we had the therapist up north, and she worked with you a little bit, and then she kind of had you move on, and then you had the one here that came at home. So how did you feel between those three therapists? You've had 3 for cluttering. Okay, so how do you feel those all worked out?
I think the first and the last one were like really helpful. I don't really remember the one in the middle.
The one in the middle, okay. Because that would have been 3rd grade, and then 4th, 5th, and maybe 6th, 7th, and something like. And then we had a break, I guess, 7th and 8th and 9th, something like that. Okay. Do you have any do Do you remember things that you did?
One of us was going to the therapist's house and going down in the basement.
Okay. But do you remember the one that came here to the house and what kind of stuff you did and how that helped?
Like I know you worked on my R's because I used to say my R's like
so a lot of articulation
work and like lost sentence structure, and I swear we did something else, but I don't remember.
I'm thinking he has done that, and I'm trying to remember. Oh gosh, I think he did that, but it wasn't a whole lot of work with that. But I think that might have been early on. It probably would have been beneficial if he'd done more of that, to be honest. I know we had a little bit of feedback work where I had an app where he could hear himself. He didn't like it.
Oh,
But he was also very, very young
Mm-hmm.
when we had that opportunity, and that just frustrated him. But I'm thinking some of those things would have been very beneficial. I know that when he stopped his last therapy, the therapist said he was at the age where he was more aware of what he was doing, and she felt like he was aware of what he was doing and he could regulate himself. We had, the trick was, I felt like some kind of gave up on him and thought, well, he's just not paying attention. He's not doing what he should do, and he's not making efforts, and that was frustrating. I don't think he was trying to give up on purpose by any means. I mean, this is difficult, and until you've experienced it or lived with somebody 24/7, I don't think they always understand. And it kind of was hurtful, to be honest, when I thought that somebody had given up on him.
To articulate my sentences a little bit slower, and just like if I do get excited, like sometimes I hold myself back, like just like hold on, speech is not gonna get, your speech is gonna get crazy, and just have to force myself to think of what I'm gonna say, and it also gets me a little bit tired when I like talk for long periods of time, and I'm like,
oh yeah. If he's been talking, he doesn't want to talk anymore. I've tried to help him do some studying over the phone, I guess, when he was studying for a science class. We were FaceTiming or something.
yes.
And I said, read this to me. And he goes, I don't want to read anymore. I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah, I don't like reading out loud. Like, it's just, especially long paragraphs.
Yeah.
I get tired of speaking, and I think sometimes that also like factors into my cluttering. It's like I get tired because my guard lowers down. And
do you know what you do when you read sometimes aloud? When you're reading a passage out loud, do you know what you do?
What do I do?
He skips words. He doesn't know he does it. He has to go back and redo it again do you catch that?
I do not catch it.
No. So he will skip, and usually it's small words, like maybe the ands or the ors or the buts.
When I'm listening to myself, in recordings, I'm like, is that how I sound? And I honestly do not like listening to myself in recordings. Well, when it's like the tone of my voice, like I just don't like the tone. Like it sounds like I have a very high pitched tone, and for some strange reason I just don't like it. And then sometimes I can't even understand myself. Like for school, like obviously, reading out loud assignments I don't particularly like. For studying, I did have a little bit of trouble studying. Like sometimes I don't know the proper ways to study, or I just study the wrong way, and I don't. And it turns out like I didn't study the right amount of materials. And friendships, like I can get along with people, but obviously, like I can be like sometimes a little bit of a recluse. I think it's
A recluse, like a loner.
Yeah, or sometimes I can be out there.
Do you tend to not want to go up to people though, and
yeah, I prefer people to come up to me, and
you're an introvert, not an extrovert.
Okay.
And I said, I generally don't like to stop conversations.
My husband is a tad bit hard of hearing from the military. And so that's where I think I have come in and had to do a lot of translating, just because not only can he just not hear him all the times, he just wasn't really good at translating him, and still probably isn't unless he has his hearing aids in. So that's been a little difficult over the years of him growing up. He won't always understand what he says unless he has his hearing aids in. So I've kind of been that go-between him and his dad, just translating. James said, blah, 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 blah. The cluttering, like I said, led us to the diagnosis of auditory processing disorder. So in a sense, it was a good thing, because we would have never, ever suspected the APD diagnosis and then gotten him some help for APD. It's something that, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I mean, it's frustrating because, you don't want your kid to have to it's one thing, a stutterer can have therapy and get over stuttering to a certain extent. But I mean, this is something he's just going to have to live with for the rest of his life. And it's frustrating for him. I wish that it could be cured. I wish that it could go away. And knowing that it's something that people will look at him and sometimes maybe talk behind his back, it hurts. And it breaks my heart for him that people might be talking behind his back and maybe making fun of him. But I also know that he's a strong kid and he's smart, and he's got a heart of gold, and he loves people, and he is just a wonderful kid. So he's just got kind of an extra piece of wood to carry around for the rest of his life that's just going to be a little heavy, and he's going to have to learn to maneuver through it and work through it. I have not had to defend him in front of other people so much as I think I had to explain a lot at the school at first. We go to a smaller private school, and of course at first they just thought, oh, he talks fast. And they didn't understand the cluttering. I don't know if they ever really have understood it. He was very lucky to have his first teacher at the school we went to, because we transferred from the public school to a private school when this diagnosis happened, because I felt like our public school had just let him down. And he was very lucky that first teacher he got was so caring and so wanting to help him, that was a blessing. But again, as an adult, I don't think they're not saying anything to me. Most of my close friends know exactly what's going on. And so, I mean, if they'll say something and they'll ask, they know, and I'll just say, hey, he's got cluttering speech, and they'll go, what's that? So that's no problem. But I don't feel like I have to really defend him. And my close family, of course, knows, but I guess I'm lucky. But if they're going to talk behind my back, so be it, And I just don't know what other things are out there. I mean, we're constantly trying. I mean, this poor kid, I made him do some therapies this summer for the APD, and both him and his sister hated me because they were pretty difficult. But I mean, I would be open to some more therapies. But because he's 19 now, I don't know. I mean, I would probably let him make that choice at this point, but I don't know what else is available out there. And would you be open to that if there was another speech therapy that would be beneficial to your speech?
Maybe.